Hi, it is July 3rd and it's been 3 weeks since I last checked in. The first Wednesday I totally forgot. Wednesday is my day off, which means it's my most jam-packed day when I'm trying to get everything else done. Totally forgot about the video. The next Wednesday rolled around and I was kind of in a bit of a slump. I was thinking, man, nothing's really changing. Do I have anything to say? I got busy doing other things, thinking I'm going to put this on the back burner, see what comes up for me, and then went into teaching my class at 6 o'clock and again just totally forgot about it. So that night, actually, in my class, we were talking about hypnosis for conscious eating for weight loss, and I realized in going over the materials that I've got tons of tips and ideas that I can share. And so even if there's not something going on with me personally, I promise that I will be more consistent and come in and share some of those tips. And then actually an interesting thing happened on the Thursday. Because I was in this bit of a slump going, man, nothing's changing for me, I decided to actually measure myself and see what's been going on, because I keep getting feedback that my body is changing, even though my behaviors are the same, they're consistent, and even though the weight stays around the same number. So I did my measurements and I was pleasantly surprised to find that I've actually taken off 11.5 inches. So 4 inches off my waist, 4 inches off my hips, and between my thighs, not between my thighs, but between the two thighs, 3.5 inches off my thighs. And that's quite something when you think about, like, 4 inches is about that big. So my measurements, the measuring tape was actually like way less when I went to cinch it up this time. So that was really exciting. And I've been thinking about what I wanted to share in this video. I thought initially I was going to take one of the tips from my Wednesday class and share that. But there's actually been some interesting things going on for me over the last few days. So I want to share about that. Lately, my partner and I have been really talking more about our future. The M word has come up. We're talking a lot about, our plans, our intentions together, what kind of a lifestyle we want to create. And it's really interesting, as we've been talking about our relationship being more of a long-term, committed, enduring relationship, it's got us both thinking about how we want to age. It's almost like we now have something to live for. Not that I didn't have anything to live for before, but when you have an excitement around spending your life with somebody, you begin to think about, what is that life going to look like? And this led to me reading a book that is called Younger Next Year, which I would highly recommend. It's kind of geared towards older men who have retired. I am neither, clearly, but the concepts in it are fitting for anybody. And I think the younger you get your hands on this book, the better. In fact, I actually dragged my 13-year-old son into my room last night and said, I want to read something to you, and read him a passage of the book, because although he's far from being an old man who's about to retire, I think it's useful for him to know some of this stuff. So the whole premise of the book is that, yes, we age. That's a given. You can't help your body from aging. However, there's a big difference between aging and decaying. And we've sort of been taught through our culture, through medicine, through society, that as you age, there's certain things you might expect. Your body's going to wind down. And in the last while, we have expanded our lifespan. So we're living into our 80s, even into our 90s. And we want those last 30 years or so of our lives that we now have to be good quality time. I don't want to spend those extra 30 years I have over, our caveman ancestors worrying about my weight or my bones or this pain or that pain, or having to prick myself with a needle and manage my diabetes, or have to worry about my arthritis or anything like that. If we're going to have an extra 30 or 20 years even on our lives, I don't want to spend it wishing it was over. I want to spend it youthful, vigorous, full of energy, full of life, full of vitality, living well. And that's what this whole book is about. It's all kinds of ideas based on, diet, nutrition, and having something or somebody you're passionate about in your life as a way of helping us to age more gracefully and to maintain our youthful vigor and health even into old age. So one of the things I wanted to share from this book, this was sort of what I was talking to my son about, because he's taken to spending many hours a day sedentary, sitting on his computer. I mean, not sitting on it, but you know what I mean. So there's a real argument for exercise in this book. It talks about how we should be making exercise a lifestyle. We should be doing it every single day. And the argument is basically this: in the hunter-gatherer days, we spent a lot of time being active. We couldn't, sit down and just order food in from the restaurant down the block or drive to a store and buy it. People spent literally hours a day foraging for food. And so we were far more active and we had to work to eat. And in fact, even today, the Kalahari Bushmen spend 8 to 10 hours a day walking, looking for their food. And then there's, times of sprinting and running when they're actually hunting something down and killing it. So the problem is we're not as active right now. And the back to in the, hunter-gatherer days as well, the only time we wouldn't have been active is when there was drought, famine, or when it was winter time. Because at those times there was no food to spend hours or hours in the day going around looking for. So what would happen, and this was a natural survival response, is people would become depressed. And I don't mean Prozac depressed, but their immune system, their metabolism would all be suppressed. And this was a way of conserving energy. So the only time a person would not be active is if there was famine, if there was drought, or if it was cold weather time. And how our bodies would respond was just kind of shutting everything down, saving energy. The problem is, of course, in our society now, we live in climate-controlled housing. We've got a kitchen full of food. We can order up food. We tend to live far more sedentary lifestyles. But evolution has not caught up with this. It takes millions of years for us to really evolve. And so we're still living with this kind of hunter-gatherer brain. And the problem is it's dark inside our brains. Our brain is not going, oh, there's plenty of food in the fridge. I'm just sitting down because I don't have to hunt and gather. When we're sitting down, if we have a sedentary lifestyle, our brain assumes that it's because there is no food in the environment. And the natural response to that is depression. The natural response is slow all the systems of the body down and conserve energy. And so this book is talking about, it talks about retirement. People retire and all of a sudden they don't have a place to go. They're not active all day long. They don't have something they're passionate about. And so their systems start slowing down. And when your system starts slowing down, that's when decay takes place. We're not thriving when we're in save energy mode. We are starting to burn out. We're starting to die. And so what this book is suggesting, and I totally agree, and I really get it, it makes sense to me, is that we need to be active every day. Our brains, again, it's dark inside our head. It can't see out there and see that we have plenty of food available. It assumes if we're slow, if we're inactive, if we're sedentary, that there is no food and it's time to slow down, it's time to start decay. And so if we're active every day, if we're keeping our bodies energized, we're kind of tricking our systems into thinking that we're hunting and gathering. And in the hunting and gathering times, we're lean. If we know on some deeper level that there's lots of food available, we don't have to hang on to the stores of food on our body in the form of fat in order to prepare for the lean times when we're going to need that fuel. And so the tip, of course, is to make exercise a part of your everyday routine. And one way to do this, I've talked about this before, is to find some way of exercising that makes it fun and doable. So it's something you want to fit in. Another way of doing this will just be to make the decision you're doing it. You don't have a choice. In the book, they talk about make it your new job. Of course, the book is geared towards retired people. And when we work, when we have a job, we just go. You have to go every day. And we get just used to the idea of I have to go. We take our weekends off maybe, or, sometimes we call in sick. But we're pretty conditioned to just go without complaining. And so they say treat exercise the way you would treat your job. You just go, regardless of the lame, pathetic excuses you come up with, just do it anyway. Fit it in. You got to trick your body into stopping that depression and decay mode from occurring. Another way to do this would be to reframe exercise. How many of us were the last kid picked, for some sport or some team when we were in school? Everybody, right? So sometimes we have this negative association with exercise. I don't like going to the gym. I personally don't like running around on a treadmill. However, I'm really energized and excited to wake up in the morning, and we get up early and exercise with my partner. It's fun. We enjoy each other's company. We challenge each other. We challenge ourselves. And knowing that there's somebody out there waiting for me makes me get out of bed and do it. I don't like going to the gym, but I love belly dancing. And so I'll put on an online belly dance course, or I've taken classes. And again, knowing that there's something where I can put on a funky outfit, wear some bling, listen to some great drum music, that energizes me. That really gets me going. Oh, I don't like exercise, but I will walk around my neighborhood. We've got a beautiful beach that we live on. Sometimes I put on a psychology podcast on my iTouch and listen to that. So I'm keeping myself energized and motivated by doing something I like alongside the exercise. So if we can reframe it, instead of calling it exercise, what if we called it going out and moving my body, or having fun, or taking time to myself? I'm going to share a little story about a client yesterday. I had a client who is coming to see me because, do I share? Yeah, I'll share this. Bladder control. She doesn't listen to her body. There's too much stuff going on. That other stuff is more important. And so she ends up having an accident. And so we've created this contract with her body where she has to go when her body gives her the signal. And in response, her body doesn't have to be quite so chatty, because it tends to give her the signal all the time because she's not paying attention to it. So I think it starts up early, knowing that it's going to take a lot of time to get her attention. And one of the things she realized is that she needs to maybe be more scheduled. Maybe if she fits in time, maybe if I plan to pee at 9 o'clock and noon and 2 o'clock, then that'll satisfy my bladder. But she's got this real resistance against being scheduled. To her, schedule is a bad word. She's not a scheduled, structured kind of person. And so instead of calling it scheduled, we're calling it, maybe you could be more organized, or maybe you could just take time for your body, because that sounds much more enjoyable. It means exactly the same thing, but somehow calling it something different just makes it a little bit easier. So instead of exercise, or I've got to work out, or something like that, maybe it's spending time with my partner, or being active, or getting some fresh air, or challenging my body, or something that makes it sound fun. So that's my tip for this week. Stop the decay process. Get up off your butt. Don't be a retired old man who's sitting around doing nothing. Our bodies can be healthier into our old age, but we got to take care of them. If we spend too much time being sedentary, it kicks in this signal that we already have programmed into us back from our caveman ancestor days, that we are in a time of famine. Slow down the systems, basically begin to die. So keep yourself alive. Keep yourself energized. Find something that you enjoy doing and fit it in. So I will be back next week, and I will definitely be here. I am so sorry for having been inconsistent. I'll get over my pouty little self when I think I don't have anything to say. I've actually got tons to say, and I'll be back here next week to say more. Take care. Have a great week. Bye.